Welcome to Episode 7 of Live from the Archives, a program highlighting the holdings of the Peters Township Public Library archives. I'm Nancy Martin, the library archivist, and today I want to talk to you about the Peters Township Society of Farm Women. In the flat display case outside of the second floor reading room, you will see the farm women highlighted for the next 2 months, so the months of March and February. I'm a huge fan of the farm women. I first encountered them back in 2024 when Tim Trax came to the library with 3 scrapbooks that they had found in the house that had formerly belonged to his grandmother, Edna Trax. And Edna was a farm woman back in the 1950s. So Tim and his cousin Charlie very kindly donated these scrapbooks, which date from 1918 to 1938, and then again from 1946 to 1949. To the archives. And what's fantastic is that we've had the opportunity to digitize them. And so if you're interested in seeing them online, you can just visit the archives website at ptlibrary.org/archives and scroll down to where it says digital collections and click on the PA Photos and Documents link and search for the scrapbooks and you'll be able to see them. The archives is also lucky enough not only to have the scrapbooks, but we also have the farm women's minutes from their meetings from 1918 until 1966. The earliest item in the display is a dedication of the Society's first scrapbook to Ora B. Bryant and Mrs. David Elizabeth Reese, who founded the Peters Township chapter of Farm Women in 1918. The display also contains the title page of the 1919 section of the same scrapbook. Please take a moment to appreciate the pin with the Farm Women's symbol on it. Also in the display is a typical page taken from the third scrapbook, this one from December of 1959. It includes a newspaper clipping describing the Society's December meeting, some holiday decorations, and an article marking the upcoming 60th anniversary of Loretta and J. Frank Zimmerman. Loretta was a member of the Farm Women. Happily for us, the Society created an annual yearbook. The 1921 yearbook is part of the display. Each yearbook contained a list of the Society's officers for the upcoming year, its committees and committee members, and a description of each of its monthly meetings. Each meeting had a different theme. In May of 1921, for example, the theme was gardens. A roll call was held at each meeting, but the women didn't answer the reading of their name with a simple "here." They answered instead in a manner in keeping with each meeting's theme. An example of that is, according to the 1919 yearbook, the monthly roll calls were answered by quotations from Lincoln. There must have been some research involved in that one. Names of native trees, names of townships, names of birds, and my personal favorite, the names of dry states. Also in the display are an early photograph of the Society's members from the 1920s. The archives volunteer, Chris Thompson, who comes every Thursday morning, has done hours and hours of research in an attempt to identify each of the women in this photograph. So thank you to Chris. A newspaper article from the August 30th, 1922 edition of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette describes the Society's participation in the Washington County Fair. I would like to point out that the women are referred to not as farm women, but as, quote, farmers' wives. A gorgeous photograph of the Peters Township Society of Farm Women's booth at the Washington County Fair from 1925, taken by D.A. Harbaugh, photos of Washington, PA, is also in the display. You can see that the booth contained an impressive display, including quilts, needlework, canned and fresh fruits and vegetables, and rag rugs. There's also a photograph of the Society's officers for 1927. From left to right, we have President Lizzie McAnulty, Secretary Emma Johnston, Second Vice President Rella Patterson, First Vice President Elizabeth Douglas, and Treasurer Georgiana McClelland. And last but not least, a photograph of the Society's members taken circa 1950. This photo was taken on the grounds of the Peters Creek United Presbyterian Church, where the women often met. You can see Brush Run Cemetery in the background. From what I've been able to determine, the farm women disbanded at the end of 1978 after celebrating their 60th anniversary with a turkey dinner at Center Presbyterian Church. If you think about it, the timing makes sense. Beginning in the 1950s, Peters Township was shifting from being a farming community to becoming more of a suburban bedroom community, and by the late 70s, that transition was even further along than previously. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you learned something new. Please join us again in May when we will be discussing McMurray resident Bill Jones's trail diary entitled Arrowhead Observations.